Hi everyone, and welcome to this videocast number 8. We've got Jasmin Jeffery backstage with me from Kompak, and we're going to talk to her shortly. But what I want you to do is just remind you that to join in and say hello, and ask any questions that you can do, and we will try and get them all answered for you. So, without further ado, let me introduce Jasmin. Hi,
Hey.
Jasmin.
Hello, how are we?
I'm good, thank you.
Good.
Have you got Facebook on there? Because have you got it on the screen?
It's not coming up. You're in the show.
Because I can hear my voice in the background. If you just put it on mute.
I haven't got I haven't got Facebook on here actually. It's not on my screen.
Okay. We're just getting a little bit of feedback, so let's just carry on anyway. So. Okay. So, first of all, how have you been today? How are you getting on?
I'm not gonna lie, this week has been rough because I've had a really bad wisdom tooth, which has been causing me a little bit of havoc. But I've been taking antibiotics since Monday, and I can actually talk. Whereas Monday, we tried to do this, it would not have happened. I would have been like, ha ha, like really bad. So apart from that, I'm really good. I'm really, really good. Just chilling with the dog, literally down here right now. She's being good today. So yeah.
And I know you've been really busy the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's been strange. Like obviously with the whole like COVID situation, I think for me, like it was very quiet, and then suddenly all the like we weren't sure whether the show was going to happen, and when the shows happened, I don't know whether it's like busy because it's shows, or I feel busy because from previously with lockdown, everyone's been like a bit of like a slower pace.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been tanning, obviously been doing all the orders, making sure everyone's like sorted, everyone knows what they're doing. I had quite a few athletes competing. I've got a few competing this weekend at Alicante. So yeah, it's been busy. I've had a launch as well. I'm trying to think what else. I think that's it. But yeah, it's good, but it's weird to be busy after like this year. But yeah,
I think I know what you mean. We'll cover some of those things in a minute that you just mentioned. So about the athletes and the release. These are all things that we'll pick up on in a minute. As people join and say hello, I will just add. So there's Rachel. She said
Rachel.
hello. She has asked us a question already, but we'll come to that in a minute.
Okay.
I just want you to tell us a little bit, first of all, about Kompak and kind of where did it start for you? How did it come about?
So back in, I need to get my years right. I think it was 2017. June sort of time. I did a show with PCA. During that time, I just went into being self-employed doing digital marketing, and I was quite young at the time, so I was very like a lot of competitors. I was very stressed. I was very tired. Being a first timer, I had no idea what I was doing. It was just kind of like a wing it. Let's just try and grab information and just see what happens. But it was a very stressful process. And with my digital marketing background and me being quite creative, when I was interacting with brands, whether it was like with the customer service or the website or just whatever it was, I felt constantly let down. And I was having to go like one place for one thing, one place for another. So I had to go to the shops. And I wasn't driving at the time actually. So I was having to get a train from the little village into town to get skin prep. And then shoes I got from a different place, and my shoes never arrived. So I was like frantically going like, oh my God, like this company isn't replying to me. What's going on? I then got my jewelry from somewhere in America. So I was having to pay customs charges, and the earrings were expensive enough without paying the customs and without paying delivery. And I just thought, this is ridiculous. Like, why is this process so difficult, and why is it so hard to find information? So it's kind of from there I thought, well, this actually might be quite a good idea. Like, I don't understand why no one's ever done it before, but there's got to be a better and easier way to do this. Like, I'm not the only person that lives a busy life. So the reason I really started it was just to make people's lives a bit easier, and kind of have like a hub where people could go to, a company that people could trust. I just thought, I remember just sitting there thinking, do you know what? I could add something very, very different here because the background that I have with being all like artsy and creative, I just thought I could really put a cool twist on this. So it was kind of from there. I had no idea how to run a business. I'm still winging it a little bit now, but I remember doing all those like business seminars and everything like that, because I thought I have no idea what to do about like cash flow, finances, pricing, like all of that stuff. I had no idea. All I knew was marketing. I knew what I wanted the website to look like. I know what I wanted social media to be like, but I had no idea how to do everything else. So from July until about October, November, I was just doing loads of business seminars, and anyone can do that. And I really do push that for people, is go onto the county council website. It doesn't matter which part of the area you're in the UK. There is a hub, there will be resources there, and they have funding for training to help people get into business. And that was like a godsend for me. It's all free. I got a business mentor. You can go for grants if you want to. I didn't actually go down that route. But that stuff was invaluable. Like, it really, really did help me. So yeah, that's kind of where it started. And it was just like, let's just, see what happens and just give it a go. Hi, Jenny. How are you?
So I actually think I probably could do with some business tuition as well. I might take that up myself.
You're always learning though, aren't you? Like, even now, I'm still learning so much.
Yeah.
And like every single year, I just reflect and I just try and get better. Like, I'm always very, very open and honest. Like, I'm still learning. I'm still getting things wrong. But as long as I'm trying to keep pushing things, because like the aspirations that I have, like I want to be kind of like the Google for competing in terms of resources. And like the products, the services, everything like that. Like, I want to be an ASOS. I want to be a Gymshark. Like, that's how high I want it to go. But for me to get there, I need to obviously there's like different areas of business in there. Like, there's certain areas I'm like, right, I know what I'm doing with that. There's other areas that I think, well, I need to research. Like, I need to speak to people that are way ahead, like way more ahead than me, so I can learn quicker. So yeah, we're getting there. We're definitely getting there.
Interesting. So let's just take a step back then, and let's tell people what Kompak, what does it do? Exactly what services does it offer, and explain that a little bit more, because not everybody might understand what Kompak is or does.
Okay, so Kompak is basically a one-stop shop for all your competing needs, in addition to providing, I would say, some of the best information out there, because I remember still now I can't find some of the information out there. Like, for example, posing shoes. When I first came into the industry, there wasn't anyone that really explained the differences with the shoes, whether there's wide, standard, narrow feet. And it really, really shocked me. And it made me realize that maybe in the past, other people who had the businesses maybe didn't use the shoes, because I only noticed these differences when I started my own posing. Because I thought, right, if I'm selling shoes, I need to understand these shoes. And this is coming from someone that didn't wear shoes when they were growing up. Didn't wear heels growing up. I'm not a natural. And I had to very much start from the bottom up. Sorry if you can see my dog going crazy now. So yeah, it was only through my trial and error where I realized actually there's shoes for different width. There's the platform's different. It can be flat. It can be arched. Like, all of these things played such a big difference, but no one actually knew that, because I don't think there was any owners that actually understood it.
That's relative to Rachel's question, because she's been on stage a couple of times and she's asking a question around heels, which is obviously similar to what, does it matter what height of heel you get for stage? And I know what your answer is going to be, so you answer, Rachel.
Go on, Matt. No, you answer first. You're the pro.
Well, the answer is it depends on what stage, doesn't it, and what federation, because they have all different types of rules and regulations. So that's really the answer.
So back in the day, when I first started Kompak, there was a lot more stricter regulations, and whenever I was working with any federations, I would always kind of say, look, I'm only actually going to work with you if you're flexible, because I guess this is another, not like a flaw, but it was something that I noticed. was a lot of the federations were owned by men. And I'm like, well, these men don't actually wear the heels. So I don't understand where this like idea of we need to regulate the shoes came from. Because if you're trying to like, I remember one federation, they still do it now, would be you have to wear no platform. To not wear a platform is actually very, very difficult for people. Like to try and practice posing for the first time without a platform is actually very, very difficult. So that was already putting people at quite a big disadvantage. Also, if you do no platform, there are certain styles which are actually really good for certain people with whether they're like wide or narrow feet, but then they couldn't actually access them. So in terms of the heel height, and I find this quite interesting because I'm 5'10", 5'11", right? So I know I'm always going to be the tallest person on stage unless someone on this planet or in the UK is my height, and I still not found a competitor my height, right? Like people get a little bit like scared of going for like a 4.5 inch over a 4 inch. And when I say to them, you do realize if you get a ruler out and put 1/2 inch on that ruler, that's not really a big difference. And usually it's people choosing between one style of shoe, which is a Caress 408, which has no platform, to a Flare 408. And the only difference is it's got that platform at the front. So I really want to stress to people, like, stop choosing shoes because you don't want to stand out or you think you're going to be too tall. You're going to be in your height class. So realistically, like, it's not going to be a massive difference. And I wear 5 inch now. I don't care. I'm like, if I want to stand out, great, I'm standing out. Like, you've got to remember why in the industry, like, you want to stand out. Like, if you're in a judging lineup, I just think, well, I can either use my height as a disadvantage and be like, oh, or I can go, do you know what, I'm going to own this. Yeah, I might be slightly taller, but it's only 1/2 inch or only like 1 inch. And when you actually get people to do, like, measure the ruler, they think, oh, actually, that's not even that much difference. So does it matter? Yes. But usually I find that people start with a 4 or 4.5. They use that for the first year of their competing season. They get used to the posing, they get used to the heels and all that sort of thing. And then once they've got like a year under their belt, they might still stick to a 4, 4.5, or they might then go up to a 5 inch. The only time I would say a 5 inch for a first timer is a good idea is if you already are used to wearing heels. So example, me, 5'10", never wore heels when I was growing up, Bambi on ice. So I didn't wear 5 inches until maybe 3 or 4 years into my competing career, because once I nailed the posing, the heels came easy. Whereas I know some girls will buy a 5 inch, not really know, like, they haven't got a lot of experience of wearing heels, but they're not only are they trying to handle wearing that 5 inch, they're then trying to learn how to walk in that heel and then try and learn posing. That is making it very, very difficult for yourself. So yeah, I hope that does kind of answer the question in like different angles. But yeah, if you would have told me, Matt, a few years ago, I would be like the expert in the industry with heels, I'd be like, what? Because I did not wear heels. I was not that heel girl. Even on like nights out, I would never wear heels. Like, that's literally who I was. So
I've probably wore more heels than you have.
Probably. I would be surprised. Like,
I was going to say, is that the job that's on offer? Is it? You want me to model your heels?
Yeah, model, customer service. You can do it all. You can do it all for me.
Okay, so where did the name Kompak come from?
Right, I can't even take any credit for this, Matt, because Joe did it. So basically, right, from July, I had this idea. I was like brainstorming ideas. I had the bikini box, the bikini package. Like, I had some awful names. I couldn't think of anything. I was trying to be like, right, bikini. Because at that point, I was only thinking bikini, whereas I'm glad I've gone for the name I have now, because now I can expand into men next year. But I was just brainstorming for ages, and I was like, oh, anything I'd searched, it was like taken on like websites and company, and I was just like, this is just horrendous. And then I got to the point that I wrote down Kompak, but spelt Kompak. I said to Joe, that looks like a lorry provider. I was like, that looks naff. I was like, oh, but it got to New Year's Eve, right? So I've been sitting on this for 5 months, still not coming with a bloody name. And I was like, I'm getting so annoyed. And then, of course, Joe just comes over, not looking at it for the whole 5 months, and just goes, well, why don't you just take off the C, take off both the C's and just put K's? And I looked at it. I was like, oh. I was like, okay. I wasn't too sure. I was like, all right then, okay. Went into Google. I was like, right, it's taken. I said, it's not taken. I'm taking it now. I don't even, you just get to the point. I thought, that's a cool name. I'm going to work with that. And then once I kind of used that name in the logos and played around with it, I was like, yes, this is the one. And I think what helped me as well, and I think it's something that it's a real big barrier for people when they first set up in the business. Like, what do I call it? And then I kind of was doing a lot of research like branding and stuff. Purely for my uni days, I just picked up loads of books that I had lying around. And one thing is like, you say the word Aldi, right? It's Aldi. You don't actually overthink it. Whereas if you can imagine maybe when that person first set up Aldi, they must have been like, oh, I'm not too sure about this. But it's what you do with that name, which creates that like emotive and that brand. So once I kind of did that research, I was like, you know what, I'm going to roll with this Kompak. I think it's going to work. So yeah, I can't take any credit for it, but it's just typical. Joe literally rolls over and just goes, oh, just take off the 2 C's and put the K. It's just like, I've been doing it for 5 months, mate, and you've just rolled over now. But yeah, there you go.
Well, at least he helped.
Yeah, good old Joe.
Rachel says, no, not that one. So she loves your social media posts.
Oh,
she says they're really helpful.
Thank you so much. I'm glad they are helpful. I always say to people, anything that you want me to do, please do tell me, because I will go away and I will find a solution. But no, thank you. That's so kind.
That's a good idea, I think. She's got asked another question. What is your top tip for competing prep?
I want to do tips because there's maybe like 2 or 3 that come into my head right now. So first one I would say is, like, obviously we get a good coach. Don't just get a coach 16 weeks out. Like, make sure you work with them like beforehand, because I remember doing that same. I only went for a coach like 16 weeks out, and I thought, oh, this girl looks really good, and actually she wasn't. But if I would have started working with her sooner, I probably would have realized that. So yeah, do your research, get a good coach, and work with them a little bit beforehand, so you actually know that the relationship works and you can work together and all that sort of thing. Practice your posing, and when you think you finished, just keep practicing. Like, literally keep practicing. Go to seminars. Completely throw yourself in it. When you are deciding on federations, I would say I really grill people when I tan at 2 Bros, right? And I always remember this last year. I did it a little bit this year. There's a couple of girls, they only went for beginner. I'm like, why? Only went for junior. I'm like, why are you only going for junior bikini? Is it money? They're like, well, no, I just don't think I'm good enough. I was like, you have no idea if you're good enough for anything unless you literally do it. And even then, you might not nail it, but you've just got to put yourself out there and like, don't expect to win. I've seen so many sore losers this month and last month, and I'm kind of sitting there thinking, you're moaning at 5th place. Someone's got 6th. Someone didn't even place. Like, you've always got to think in the back of your mind, if you're getting annoyed because you've got first call outs and didn't place, someone else didn't even get a look in. And that's always the way that I see things. Like, the first 2 times I competed, I got first call out, center stage, and didn't place both times. But I walked away going like, oh, I wonder what, like, yeah, a bit niff, because I was thinking, oh, it's a bit confusing. But what always kept me humble was like, well, it's better than not getting a first call out, because like, there's always someone behind you. And if you're saying that in front of like that, you don't realize what you're saying when you come off stage. Someone else sitting behind you might be really upset and not even got that first call out, or didn't get 3rd place, or didn't get 4th place. Do you know what I mean? So I think always be like kind to others when you like, and always have like the expectation, yes, of course you want to win, but that's not always going to be the case. And especially if like you're going into the pro ranks at some point, you're going to come into the pro ranks and you're going to be slashed again. You might not place again at the pros. So think about all these setbacks that you have as an amateur. Like, it's just training. It's training for the pro ranks. It's training for life. Like, that's literally the way I see it now. And I always say to Joe, I always aim for first call outs now. I'm like, first call outs, cool. I'm doing something right because I'm catching their eye. And after that, you can't, like, sometimes, especially with the standard these days, if you've got a first call outs, they're picking between like the tiniest things, and you can't get beat up about that, because I think that's when bodybuilding, I think personally, becomes quite self-destructive. And that's not, for me, that's not the reason why I think you should go into competing, because that's when I don't think it's good for people. I think it's good for people when they have the mindset being like, right, I'm going to give it a good crack. I'm going to enjoy the day. I'm just going to have fun, meet loads of people, and just see what happens. If you have that expectation, trust me, you'll have a much better day. If you have the expectation going, I want to win, and that's literally all you have, if you don't win, you're going to have an awful day. And it's not because of anything different, it's because of your mindset. And I have seen that a lot with tanning. The people that have got the right mindset have the best day, regardless if they place or not. And if they place, then it's even better. So yeah, they're my top tips. Sorry, I can never do one. There's so many I could just talk about. But
I think to be honest, I think they're really good tips, because one, first of all, the posing is something that I always say to my clients, male or female, is basically, it doesn't matter how good your physique is, if you can't present it on stage, then you know you're never going to win potentially. The person that can present a physique on stage is generally the one who is going to win. And I think particularly with my bikini girls, they're the ones that I think the expression, the performance, the presence on stage is so more important than some of the other classes. And they just think they're getting judged by their physique, but it's not. It's beauty. It's everything. It's the smile. It's how confident they look. It's a whole package. And when you see a girl that has got an incredible physique, but isn't very confident, is very nervous, can't smile, and then doesn't place, it's probably down to the fact that she didn't shine, and she wasn't confident enough to throw the moves properly, to be comfortable, to look relaxed. And then the girl with maybe a lesser physique just looked better because she smiled and she was more confident. And it's just so important. I think you're right. And the only way to be confident is really just practice, practice, and practice.
You're still going to be nervous. Like, it takes a while. And that's why I always say to people, if you can do more than one category on that day, you bloody well do it. Because most of the time, that first category, you might flunk it. I flunked it. Mammy Pro. I did bikini and Miss Model. I flunked bikini. I was too rushed. I didn't know what I was doing. It was the first time me doing proper, like, glamorous posing. Miss Model, nailed it. Got top 3. But bikini didn't get a look in because I was so nervous. I rushed the whole routine. And even, like, I always say this as well, any chance you can push yourself outside your comfort zone. Like, growing up, I was very anxious, very scared of public speaking. It's only been through this business and maybe the past year or two that I've really got confident with it. But there's been many times that I've flunked it. But it's through keep going and keep pushing yourself outside your comfort zone. Even at work, like, if you usually back out of doing a work presentation, put yourself forward. You don't think that's going to help you on stage, but all these little things that you do are over time going to help. I pose all the time in my gym. I've always done it. Even though at the beginning I hated it, I felt so anxious, so scared, but I knew if I could get better posing in front of random strangers and not caring, it's going to help you on stage. All these little things do add up, and it is scary. I know it's scary. I still get nervous now, but you've just got to keep thinking, like, this is like, it's a mental, like, practice that you have to keep working on. Same as your physique, you've always got to keep working on it. And it doesn't matter, like, if you're not naturally a very confident person, because I wasn't, and I still am not 100% now, but it's something that I've learned. You don't have to naturally have it. You can learn it. The same with anything else. You've just got to keep that like repetition going, and you will get there 100%.
Yeah, I think that's what I say. Basically, is if you practice and practice and practice, your posing becomes second nature, so that on the day you're not having to like lift your eyes up and think about what pose am I doing? Am I going left or right? Or it just naturally comes here. So that then gives your head some space to look at the judges or look at the crowd, have a smile, and think about other things. If you're having to think about your posing, you know, then you haven't posed enough, and that's letting you down.
Do you want to know what I do on stage? I try and like kind of calm my head, and it makes me laugh in my head. Right, so I go on stage and like in my head I go, "Where's Wally?" And I like look out. And like in my head I'm trying to find Joe or someone, but that's literally what I do in my head. I'm like, "Where's Wally? Where's Wally?" It makes me kind of laugh in my head, and they kind of naturally I kind of start smiling. But it's those little mental cues which sound really silly. But even before I step on stage, like a lot of sportsmen do this. Like Johnny Wilkinson, like past amazing rugby player. Whenever he used to do the penalty kick out or whatever, you know what I mean. That kick. He would do like a natural. If you watch back at certain ones he does the same setup. He like grinds his like right foot into the floor. He has a little thing that he gets into that. There's certain movements he has to do with his body before he kicks. Like Eddie Hall had to do like a certain mindset routine before he could do deadlifts. I just do a very simple thing. I always make sure I'm dancing before I go on stage. Always like feel the music, and I click my fingers, and I literally click my fingers, and it's me trying to tell my brain like this is confident Jasmin now. Like I'm switching that mode, and it's gone. Even when like I need to really like get my head sorted, I will click my fingers. If I'm nervous, I'll click my fingers, because it's like it's kind of my brain prompts my brain to go, confident Jasmin's out now. Like the other one's gone. But yeah, it's those little things that do help me. So they might help someone else listening.
Yeah, definitely. And you mentioned about people being disappointed almost when they don't win, or saying to themselves that they're going to win, and then you know, that is that kind of big what's disappointment then at the end. And I think that's more and more common nowadays. And it's funny that you mentioned the first call out thing, because as a judge I've experienced that disappointment because they got first call out but then didn't place in even you know, anywhere. And I've had to explain to the individuals, the first call out doesn't necessarily mean you are the number one. It could, there are different circumstances which could you could get the first call out. Well, it might, you know, if you're in a huge lineup, you might get the first call out because you appear to be the best at that point. But physiques and presentations fade, and then other people come in, particularly if the lineup's big. You know, first that call out doesn't guarantee that first place. I mean, it's sometimes, obviously, if it's in a smaller category and there's only 3 people in it, and you get first call out, then you know, you pretty much you could be confident as a bodybuilder, certainly, that okay, I'm in the middle, I've got first call out, I'm the guy to beat now. So you know, it's definitely something that interesting, and I've noticed it more and more with the young people, and particularly when they've got first call out and then they spat the dummy out because they only got 3rd, 4th, or didn't even place in them. You know, that might have been the first show, and I kind of say to them is, don't be spoiled brat. Don't you know, this is if you like competing, this is a long-term commitment. This is a journey, and you know, learn from this.
I'm not gonna lie, it annoys me so much because I didn't place for the first 2-3 shows. I didn't deserve to. Like, exactly. You're not just because you've worked hard doesn't mean you're gonna get it. You know, I've worked very long on my business, and it's only got to the point now that I can start going, right, I can actually take a wage and all that sort of stuff. But like, if I would have thrown my dummy out the pram, I wouldn't have got there. And even like for people, like if I want to take on like athletes, my top thing I look for is their mindset. How do they react if they don't get the placing they want? Do they act professional, or do they spit their dummy out the pram?
Yeah.
Like I had to speak to one of my friends who owns a bikini company because I saw her athlete flip out. And I was like, that's not good. That's not good for her brand. And it's like, it just shows that that's her head space, fine, but it's just not it's not a nice way to be. You've always got to think who is around me that, and if I do something or say something could actually upset someone else here. So yeah, so that's the main thing that I look for if I'm looking for a sponsored athlete. And I quite like I like taking on people that haven't placed first all the time, because if they're coming back, it shows that they've got the right mindset. If sometimes if you've placed this, you know, if it's your first show and you place first, take it, be grateful, but just know that isn't always going to come to you. And I think that mental resilience is going to really pay off for you, like long term, 100%. So yeah.
Definitely. Rachel's got more questions. She apologizes, but Rachel,
Love
please keep asking if you've got them. So, do you have any advice on off-season mindset then? And I know you've struggled post-season with kind of the body response to post-show. So you might be better able to answer this from a mindset perspective.
So first time I did like post show was fine, no issues, went back up, blah, blah. Yeah, it was solid. Next time didn't happen. My body, I went very, very lean for the next season, and I paid for it on the other side. I didn't actually need to get that lean, but I've learned now. It's hindsight. I know, like for me, I didn't know my stage weight. I still actually don't really know it. Whereas I've got a better idea now, because I've gone from one end from being not conditioned enough to go the complete other way. But like generally speaking, so I come from a very different point of view. I wouldn't class myself as a hardcore bodybuilder by any stretch of the imagination. So the way that I personally see off-season mindset is you've got to be able, like your off-season mindset is kind of like normal you. If you weren't competing, how would you like to be? That's the way I see it now. I'm like, if I didn't compete again ever in my life, would I be happy with my body? Would I be happy with how I eat? And that's the way I see it. I'll be honest with you now. I don't hit my meal plan 100%. I don't have that prep mindset. I still have it, but it's that 80-20. And I know that sounds so annoying. So it's like, balance. But like, that's how I like to have things. I have a meal plan, but if I don't want that meal, I will switch it out. I don't care if the macros aren't 100%. As long as the calories are pretty much there, I'll take it. It's one meal. It's not going to kill you. You're not a bad bodybuilder. It's not a case you don't care or anything like that. That's personally the way that I see it. I know people have their different opinions, but I found if I have too much strictness in the off season, like I do prep, I feel too restricted, and then that's when I don't actually enjoy the process. So if I go out for food, or go out for like a coffee with my mum, I might not have my own cake, but if my mum goes, "Oh, do you want to try some?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, go on then." Like I will have a small bit of her freaking carrot cake. It's like when you think about it, you're in your head, you go, "Oh, I shouldn't do that. Oh, that's really bad." Well, actually, you're off season. Like it's okay for you to do that. And I think it's learning that that kind of like halfway point between being so rigid that it's too much, in my opinion, and it's destructive in different ways, in comparison to I'm just going to eat every single thing going because I haven't had it and I know I'm not going to have it. Like the food is always going to be there. And I know people always say that. And I used to get really annoyed when I used to hear people say that. But by having that quote unquote balance in the off season is going to help, because you're not being so restrictive. So I find it really hard because everyone comes from different points of view. Everyone has past different relationships with their bodies and food and everything like that. But I've over time just kind of learned to be like, right, I've tried loads of different ways of doing off season now. I've tried being super strict. I've tried being not strict at all. And I'm like, I figured out my formula now of how I like to be and how I want to be, whether I'm competing or if I never step on stage again. And that comes with trial and error. It's coming from trying macros, trying the meal plan. Like if you don't try these different things and figure out for yourself where you sit, I don't think you're going to ever enjoy off season or the process as much. Don't like, I'm really glad that Joe's always kind of pushed to us to have like a free meal, because when I first came out of my last season, I really struggled with that. And I never had that in my life. But Joe was like, no, like, you know, you're going to have this meal and you're going to enjoy it and all this sort of stuff. Whereas now, I'm not so food focused. Like, whereas in the past, I would literally, that's all I would think about all week. Whereas now I'm like, I'm chill. Like, I have my balance. As long as I hit things 80% in my off season, I will take that, because if I try and push things that 20% that's when I don't enjoy it and it actually stresses me out, which is more counterproductive. Like, if I'm more stressed, my body's not going to respond. If I'm a bit more chilled and relaxed, like, I've got to the point now, like, I know what 30 grams of protein is. I don't need to weigh it to the nth degree. It's kind of allowing yourself that motion of being a bit free. Like, it's like a rough structure, if that makes sense. Like, it's structure, but I allow it to move.
It's called flexible dieting, and the 80-20 rule. It's kind of it's 80%. Get your 80% of your good food in, and then allow you the 20% to eat what you want within that 20%. So it's still giving you all the nutrition that you need. 80% of the nutrition, meeting all your you know, vitamins and minerals, etc. And you mentioned it before, the key was to you kind of know what your calories are, and you're trying to keep your calories kind of at that level, because you don't want to gain too much weight. So you're balancing your calorie intake, and making sure you're getting your nutrition 80%, and then giving yourself 20% of freedom to kind of pick and choose what you want. And I think that's a perfect balance, because I think a lot of people post-prep, male, female, whatever, what they do is they go on a massive binge. And it only takes a few weeks, and you've put on considerable amounts of weight. You can, you know, I think I remember one, and I probably don't hold the record, but I think one prep I put on, I think it was 30 kilos I put on in about 3 weeks. It was ridiculous. I mean, a lot of that would have been water, but it was so much. It just ballooned. I just went crazy. I actually remember having a tub of peanut butter and a tub of Nutella and a packet of biscuits, and going Nutella, peanut butter, biscuit, Nutella, peanut butter, biscuit, and until I ate the whole thing, and then was nearly sick. And you know, I got so heavy, and then literally had to re-diet again, and it, you know, messed you with your head.
Like, for me, we're coming out of 2018, there's a lot of like things that were going on in my life, and there was a lot of stresses. So coupled with the stress of things going on, and then hormonally, like, I tried the whole reverse diet, and I was like, Joe, this ain't working this time. Like, my ghrelin, my leptin, everything is bad. I feel my food focus getting worse. I was like, I actually was very worried, actually. I was like, I feel like I'm going to go into that side of competing that, like, I don't want to go down. And that's when he said to me, look, you're not going to like what I've got to say, but you're going to have to go. Like, it's funny. Stephanie Bettermore, the All In, I literally did that like 6 months before she did, and put it on social. Sorry, my dog's going crazy. But yeah, I literally had to eat to hunger and let everything settle. Did I gain more weight? Yes. But long term, it sorted my food focus out. It hormonally sorted me out. And like, from doing that big like extreme, I then managed to come back down and find that balance again. During the process, I thought, I'm never going to compete again. I'm never going to like my body again. I was really like, this is never ending. But look at me now, like, the transformation I've made this year, I wouldn't have been able to do without having that process last year. And I was scared, you know, I'll be honest with everyone listening, like, being the face of, you know, the business and that in this sort of industry, having to do that was a scary thing. And I was thinking, oh, what's everyone going to think of me? But I just thought, I either do that right now and sort out my health and sort out my head, or this industry is going to control me. I was like, nah, I've not got into this for that reason. But I'm so glad I've done it now, because I'm in a really, really good spot. Everything is where it needs to be. And yeah, it makes me appreciate that process and appreciate where I am now. Whereas if I wouldn't have had that process last year, I probably wouldn't be as grateful for what I have right now. So yeah, it's kind of thing with perspective, really.
So what about then, just to put it into context from so this year, Rachel's last competition would have been October 2019, I think, something along those lines. So she's gone into Christmas, and then come into this new year, and then I'm not sure surely, I'm not sure entirely, yeah, exactly what Rachel's plans were, but obviously, if we're not just thinking about Rachel, anyone that was going to compete this year and that didn't compete because of COVID, what do you think their mindset's going to be like? What do you think's going through their mind at the minute? There's lots of different issues, isn't there? Because I think some people wanted to compete and then didn't early on, and I look at the gym now, and a lot of guys that would have been competing, they're not, and they're a lot bigger now, and the potentially that they seem to have lost the mojo a little bit. They've lost a little bit of direction or goals, I think.
Yeah, I think it has been difficult for everyone, and everyone's perspectives and opinions on it has been different as well. I think, if anything, it's whether it's good or bad, or people won't, some people take this the wrong way, but like this, I feel like COVID really showed people that the reasons why they compete, the reasons why they train. Even though there wasn't a show around the corner for me, it was a mental thing. It was a structure thing. It was something to get up for. And that's why I actually started weightlifting. So that's why, like, in my head, it makes me feel quite nice to know that, okay, even if I don't step on stage ever again, I will still train. Whereas I think maybe it's difficult for people if they started training and then went straight into competing without thinking, actually, why am I doing this all? Like, ask yourself why, and not just like blanket why. Like, really dig deep and ask yourself why. Because usually then you kind of find the answer. Whether it's you need to take a month off training to get that fire back, that's what you need to do. That's not a bad thing. That's your formula. You need to figure out what's going to make your brain tick again. And that's not the same answer for everyone as well. So like you would never do deloads, but then I never really liked training. Whereas now the more I deload, the more I like training. Because it's like, do you know when you're like, you feel like at the end of a deload, you're like, oh God, I just don't want to be here. I would keep working through it in the past, and like it didn't help me. Didn't help me at all. But I was like, oh, I can't not do it, because everyone knows I'm not a bodybuilder if I don't grind and hustle. And it's like, well, actually, no. You don't always have to grind and hustle your way through. Like, you can actually chill and take time out for yourself. And do you know what I mean? Not always push like the go button constantly.
Yeah, definitely. There's a few people joined and said hello to me. Hi, Kenny.
Lightbody, that's a cool surname, isn't it? What else we got?
He's put.
You have to pose very dad.
Every day to make it part of your workout. I think that's what he's saying, isn't he?
Yeah.
Hi, Ella. How you doing?
I'm loving these surnames. McChrystal, like, making my surname sound boring as hell right now.
This is one of my friends from school, and this is one of his favourite sayings. Hello, Leon. Here's another question from Rachel. So I was going to ask you this question anyway, because so what I wrote it down, and what did I put? I seen on a recent post that you had some big news, and I was going, did I miss that news? Have you announced what that is? So is that what Rachel's referring to? Is you got a latest project coming along in Kompak, or?
So I'm trying to think which thing. So there was
been a few things.
Yes,
was it Get Bronze?
No.
At Two Bros Pro, or the mugs? You had the mugs, the cups.
Yeah. So that the launch was on the 25th of September, and that was the first ever gift range for bodybuilders. Again, I can't believe it's never been done before. I was just literally sitting there going, someone's going to beat me to it. Someone's going to beat me to it. And then no one did. So I was like,
have you got a cup there now?
Do you know what I actually do? How funny is that?
Honestly, they're quite cool.
There you go. Pro card pending.
Yeah.
Little mug.
Kompak. Yeah.
So yeah, there was the launch, so like greeting cards. So it's again, there was no like actual show day cards. It was all these like rubbish, all these rubbish like good luck cards. And I was like, this is enough. Like there needs to be something better. Even like birthday cards, like cards you can give to people like in between preps and stuff. The motivational prints as well, and something not done before, and the slogan mugs. So they're just like cute things that you can buy for like yourself or another competitor, or someone can buy for you. So I'm currently working on the Christmas collection. It's going to be different products. It's not going to be an extension apart from the cards, but I didn't have any, like I had like a few ideas for Christmas, but I kind of thought, I'll see how like this launch goes and then just work from there. But yeah, I've got some cute little ideas. And again, I'm bringing out another product that's never been done before, which is quite exciting for me because I'm still finding little gaps. Like they're niche, but like, I'm like, oh, that's needed. Oh, that's needed. There's something happening with FitX, which I can't say until he's announced, but it's very, very exciting, and involves myself in it. I am judging at the shows, which is a great, very, very privileged and very honoured to be asked to do that.
Not everyone knows what that is. So it's the bodybuilding show in Liverpool, isn't it? In May 2020, is it?
Yeah, they've announced the first show in March in Poole down south as well.
Okay.
I'm trying to think what else that I can actually say. I can't actually think. So yeah, those are the projects.
Let's just go back to the mugs a second and the cards, because I want you to plug that, because I think it's a wicked idea. I think everybody wants to get someone like a get well card, like a wish them well card, and you can't really find them specifically for this niche. So you've gone and done it, and I think that's a great idea. So where can people actually buy that? Is that on your website?
Yeah, so if you go to kompak.store, and then if you go into the drop-down menu, it's literally the first one that's lifestyle and gifts. Because this is the thing, like a lot of competitors, they don't actually want they don't actually want a lot from someone. They just want someone to show that they understand them and they care. Like they don't want food, they don't want alcohol. They actually just want something which is sentimental. That's the main reason why I wanted to do it, because I just wanted something that was actually really sentimental. And I can imagine, like, if my mum gave me that, it would be like the sign of like, I don't maybe fully understand this world that you're in, but I'm here to support you and I get it. Like, and that means a lot to people. And it was just me driving. It was literally just me driving, and I like driving because I have a clear head, and when I have a clear head, creative Jasmin comes out. So that's when I'm just like, like good luck card, show day card. There's nothing there. I searched Moonpig, searched everyone. I was like, no. Because when I first set Kompak, I was like, someone's going to beat me to it. Someone's going to do one-stop shop before me. And I was so shocked that no one beat me to it. So when I did this launch, I was like, someone's going to beat me. Someone's going to beat me. And then they didn't again. I was like, this is crazy.
I've had quite a few, good luck cards before I've gone on stage before. So if it was specific to competing and someone had gone out the way, it does make it a little bit more sentimental. So I think you're right. I've got a good idea for you.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say the last thing as well is that some of the proceeds are going to a girl called Destiny Wade, who has just finished her treatment for chemo for stage 2 cervical cancer. And she's been battling that through the COVID pandemic. She was meant to get a smear test in March. It got cancelled due to COVID. And because it got missed, it went from stage 1 to stage 2. I think it's actually in between stage 2 and stage 3. So she's obviously been really struggling. She's not been able to work. So yeah, some of the proceeds are going to her. And it's just to help her be able to recover from her treatment right now, or she's going to have to go straight and back into work. Like her sick pay ran out within 2 months. So obviously that's like my way of like giving back to her, because for me personally, I had her on the podcast that I run called Not Just Bikini Girl. And I had this idea for this launch. and I kept putting it off, and after coming off the podcast with her, gave me the biggest kick up my bum, and I was like, right, stop being scared, Jasmin, just do it, like literally just do it. So that was kind of my way of like, you know, paying it back to her in a weird way. So yeah, every single order does help like a fellow competitor in our industry, which I think is obviously quite powerful within itself. So yeah.
Awesome. I think that's a nice sentiment. Add even more value to it. I have got a good idea for you. Something that Anita does for me, every single thing, but I might not tell everybody else. So it's something I might tell you in secret.
All right.
Because we don't want someone else to pinch it. So
no. I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. You stay backstage when we finish, and I'll tell you what it is.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, so Joanna Taverna is mentioned. Yeah, a couple of hair posing clients decided to do photo shoots instead of this year when the shows got cancelled, and a couple of mine did as well. And I think that was a good idea. Yeah, that was a good move. I think even some of Joe's done the photo shoot, and it gave them a chance to of something to focus on, didn't it?
Yeah, and as well, like a lot of there's a blog post that I have done on the website which shows like how to use your stuff styling wise for shows, like show shine. You can use that as like before you start your shoot, which is like so nice, gives you like a really nice glow. You can use your shoes, you can use your jewelry. I'm really trying to push that with people to make them see like what you're buying isn't just for show. Like you can wear it for other things, like bikini bum tape. That's like you can use that as really, really strong fashion tape for like tops or whatever it is. So yeah, I think it's such a good idea, and I love photo shoots. I've like fallen back in love with photo shoots this year, and I just think a lot of times we document when we start, we document at the end, but we don't really have any like midway. And a lot of times when you do photo shoots, you ideally want to do a photo shoot when you're midway between your show and off season, because actually that's when you feel the best generally. And a lot of girls, when they do a photo shoot so close to that show, they actually don't like it as much. So yeah, this is a great way. I always recommend photo shoots 100%.
I know on your Instagram we've seen some, and I think I spoke to you maybe before you went to do them, and I think you were a little bit nervous because you weren't obviously like at your leanest or where you felt you were at your best. But looking at the pictures, you did come across confident. You did look great in the pictures, and I think it's me personally. That's probably something I wouldn't have done myself, because I felt that maybe I would have got judged because I wasn't at my best, and it is a big hurdle to kind of publicly show yourself, maybe, or to do a photo shoot when you're not at your best. But I think you're right. Every time I've done a photo shoot, my face has been sucked in. I've got, it's literally, I think the photo editing might take a little bit of the skeleton face off, but it still look very, drawn and tired. And I think you're right, maybe midway or certainly a few weeks before, or even like 10 weeks before, when I think that's a good idea.
It was quite cool actually. So after seeing my ones, I started to notice a lot of people were like DMing me, being like, I've just booked a photo shoot after seeing yours. I was like, what? I was like, that's weird, but that's so cool at the same time, that like my little random thing. And I think it was seeing me not be stage lean in a stage bikini. That was quite a big one for me. Like I still felt great, but it was very strange. I was like, God, like stage bikinis are associated to being like ridiculously lean, all this sort of thing. Yeah. But no, it was cool. It was cool to do it.
Me personally, I like it. So in my federation, what I want to try to almost bring around is particularly in the bikini categories, is a look that's not so hardened, not a look that's not so dieted, a look that's healthier and doesn't. I'm not saying that. I just want the girls to be happier and healthier, and not necessarily have to try to over diet or beat someone by dieting an extra week than the other person. It shouldn't be that. And I think that's a refreshing change. And you doing those photo shoots, I think the reason why people have contacted you is because everyone's so body conscious and wants to show the pictures of them looking at the best, but you've actually thrown it around and went, well, this is me. Look at me now, and I think that's a good thing. People are probably looking at that and directing themselves to that and thinking, well, if Jazz can do it, then maybe I can do it. So I think it was good of you to do that. To be honest, I think you would have got respect from a lot of people.
Thank you. Like I didn't. I when I did it, I don't know. I just did it purely for myself. Like just for, do you know what? Just gonna have fun with these shoots. And it was quite overwhelming actually seeing how I didn't realize the impact it would have. Like I literally had no idea because it was on my personal as well. I thought, oh, no one follows my personal. They do. I've learned that now. People now follow the personal and the Kompak one, and I was like, oh, okay, like this is quite cool. But yeah, photo shoots are fun. They're good fun.
Joanna mentioned as well that she found some of the first-time competitors, her clients took it harder when the shows were cancelled. And yeah, I mean, we mentioned that, didn't we, earlier, that this year would have had upheaval for a lot of people in different ways, and it's affected people positively, it's affected other people negatively. And I think certainly if you were a first timer and you had your heart set on doing a show this year and you'd started prep only for the gyms to close and the shows to finish, I think that would have been difficult for, well, not just the first time. I think it would have been difficult for anybody. And I think that's where those people then directed themselves to photo shoots. And I had a couple myself of clients that would signed up for one show that cancelled, then signed up for another show that cancelled, and then kind of kept on going until they all cancelled, and then went, well, I'm going to do a photo shoot instead. So
yeah, you just got to think that, like, I've seen a couple of first timers that were meant to do March, took it as like I'm in the perfect position to go. They don't look like first timers next time, and they're still first timers. Like, that's insane. If you look at my first time photos, you'll be like, oh my god, lol. So these first timers, like, they've got the biggest advantage going. Like, lucky buggers. That's the way I saw them. I was like, you lucky things. Like, look.
I've seen some of them. Yeah, I seen some of them last Saturday. They were awesome. Some of those girls had first time been on stage.
Yeah, they were
incredible. Mad. Anita's mentioned, I think this is what we were talking about, just eating what we want on a Saturday. So
cookie dealer all day.
Yeah, cookie dealer, yeah. So I've got a couple more questions before we finish.
Yeah.
So you did actually answer this question slightly already. I said, what are your plans for the future? So your plans for the future, obviously, to be like ASOS and these bigger companies you mentioned. But what are your what's down the line for you? I know you mentioned obviously what's next. So what's in 2021 and what's coming down the line for you?
Okay, so let's split it between like personal and like Kompak. So personal, I am looking to step on stage again. That was the $1 million question when I was telling people that, oh, when you compete, and I'm very much going to keep it on the down low. I did that this year when I did my dieting phase. Loved it. I was in my own little lane, own little bubble. I like that. Some people like the pressure. I like a bubble. So I will be stepping on stage next year. But majority of my prep will be completely off social media. I just like to keep it that way. So yeah, that's going to be very exciting. I do want to compete abroad because it's something that I haven't done before. And the way I see my competing journey is like, I don't know if I'm ever going to go pro. If it comes to me, I'm going to roll that thing and I'm going to have the best time of my life. If it doesn't, wasn't meant to be. It's fine. And that sounds weird because that's not the competing mindset, but that's my mindset, right? I've already won. So for me, I like to have fun, take loads of selfies, and just like celebrate. You could you just don't know what the judging's going to be like. Like, you could win one show, the next week you could come dead last again. I came top 3 in the Amateur Olympia last time. I might come dead last next time. It's fine, right? As long as I'm getting better, that's all that matters. What's that? 100%? Yes. Love that, Lauren. So yeah, that's like my compete and stuff next year. I want to experiment. I want to have fun. I want to compete. It's just for myself, really. And I had a couple of people this when I was tanning at Two Bros being like, oh, like, do you feel pressure? I was like, if I really sat here and like, you know, when you kind of convince yourself crazy things. If I sat here, I would be like, oh yeah, like if I don't do well, then, like, it's going to be bad for my business. But once you've done so many shows, you realize how quickly things can change. Like my athlete, Danny Bosworth, has improved so much, and she still hasn't got, like, she's placed top 3 once this year so far and placed 4th, and then she didn't get, like, she got first call out center stage and didn't place. Like, that's how crazy it can be sometimes. Like, she's got the most incredible physique. So yeah, that's me next year. Excited to see what I'm going to bring, because I feel like my stage weight, I was 143 when I was in 2017. 2018 I was anything between like 126 to like 134. Like I really like went different. 126, 129, then like 134, something like that. So I think roughly I'm going to be sitting at like 135, which I'm excited for, because it's going to be a completely different look that I've never brought. So that's going to be cool. Compact wise, I really just want to get things out quicker. I want to reduce delivery times. I know it sounds really boring, but it's something that I know needs to be done to take things to the next level. I want to go in more international. I want more resources on the website. I want to really focus on compact men and getting that off the ground. There's going to be a lot going on. It's going to require a lot more manpower. It's going to require me to be the manager, which is going to be interesting. Having different people work with me, but like I've got to the point now that I'm at full capacity with how much I can do within my day. Anything more, I'm getting exhausted and tapped out, and that's not where I want to be. So I need to now start delegating and being like, right, what bits do I need to do in this business? What other bits can I outsource and help get someone else to do it? So that's kind of where I'm at. It doesn't sound very exciting when I probably say it, but in my head, like, I know that next year is going to be so busy, and I'm so excited, like, with all the opportunities that are coming, all the shows that are happening. It's going to be a mad one, but I'm here for the ride, man. Like, I've come this far. I've got through COVID. Like, it's funny because, I had all these crazy plans for this year, but COVID pushed me back. But if it wasn't for COVID, I probably wouldn't have had the idea for the lifestyle and gift range, which I'm super excited about. So I think it's more bringing like compact branded things, which is going to be my chance to really get creative, which is something that really resonates with me. So I think that's the plan. It might change, but yeah, we'll roll with it.
I think it's good because you're making Compact a brand in itself, as opposed to an service that kind of uses other products and things to help competitors. So now you're actually branching out as Compact as a brand and doing things yourself, and that's making you more individual and just providing a service, I think.
Yeah, I think if I kept to being a product, like within like myself and who I am, if I had this business as solely a product business, an exchange of you give me money, I give you product, I wouldn't enjoy it. I would not be doing it, because that's not the sort of person that I am. And that's why, like, I want to deliver more from like a marketing resources point of view. Like, that's how I stay in this business. If I didn't have that part of this business, I wouldn't have it, and I wouldn't do it, because that's just not, again, I can't, it feels cold if I say it like that. Oh, you place an order, I give you it. That feels really cold, and I would hate it. So definitely providing more content and more resources, and putting a positive, just being like the positive brand in the industry, that hasn't got politics, that is welcoming to everyone. That's one thing I always say. It's like, if I had to say like key like branding or not marketing, but key like brand values, right? It's like, look after your most vulnerable person, and don't ever like, sorry, my dogs are going crazy now. Sit down. And like, doesn't matter whether they're a first timer or like, pro, you treat everyone the same. Like, because I remember when I first started as a first timer, I felt quite ostracized, and I felt that people quite like, yo, you're not anyone in the industry. I'm not gonna like give you the time of day. And I'm like, no, that's not who I am. So yeah, that's kind of I want to be able to still do that while grow, which requires me to try and get a little bit more tactical now in terms of like, how do I best place myself in this business now so I can keep doing that, so it keeps, you know, engaged with this brand, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. Yeah, I just want to confirm it's not me that's heavy breathing. It is the dog.
No, it's my crazy creatures that have come back from their walk. Bless them.
So, Jazz, just break it down then from a experience perspective as a competitor. Okay, so first timer or experienced or whatever, just generally a competitor is going to go to a show. What can they get from Kompak? What can they experience or get from Kompak? Just break it down completely from even basics to products to the service to the, because I know what you do around the shoes and stuff like that. And so you know, say for instance a bikini girl, a girl is going to compete in bikini. She comes to you and says, I need help. I don't know what tan to wear, don't know what shoes to wear, don't know what bikini to wear. Can you help me? Break that experience down.
So usually people will start researching first. They just want information. So they come via the Not Just Bikini Girl podcast, which I've been doing for about 3 years now. So that has like interviews, that has resources on there, that people can listen to, like via audioly. What word is that? No idea. And then people go into the blog section. So every single month I put a new blog out. So there's things covering skin prep, top things that you need to know about competing, advice from my girls, like what they would do differently, jewelry, shoes. So people usually or the Instagram page has loads of resources. So I'm constantly putting out information to help you, so you don't have to worry and be like, what's this answer? Where can I come? It's like the answer is going to be on that website or on Instagram or on the podcast. Most of the time they'll come and buy like the first pair of posing heels from me, maybe like a year before they start competing. And then after that, they've probably done a bit more research, a bit more reading on the website, and then they start thinking about, right, what's my bikini going to look like? How am I going to match the jewelry? Again, there's resources about how to pick your jewelry. And then skin prep. So they'll get everything they need from the skin prep. They'll think about what they need backstage. There is a show day list on the Kompak website, so everyone will most likely just download the show day list and just tick it off. And then most of the time we'll maybe buy like a pair of posing heels. There's also posing resources. I've collaborated with Emma Hyman, the posing pro, so there's loads of videos on there if they want to practice their posing. And there's a Kompak marketplace, so if they want to get secondhand shoes or secondhand bikinis, then they can do that as well. Yeah, I think I've exhausted everything, but yeah, there's like, if I had to break up the product lines now, there's lifestyle and gifts. So there's like motivational things and all that sort of stuff. There's the posing shoes with all the resources, competition jewelry with all the resources, pre-stage, so skin prep, most of the skin prep stuff with all the resources, backstage, tanning as well. I've just added a tanning, like how to apply your own pro tan base coat. So yeah, does that make any sense?
It makes complete sense, yeah. I think we just lost the dog. As just hopefully she'll come back in a second. What I'll do is I'll put Jenny's question up just while we're waiting for her to come back. So Jenny, you've always been afraid to have a cheat meal as it felt mentally, had to stick 100% to plan for best weight loss. Listening to you both now, I can see that I can have a cheat meal each Sunday and I'm okay with this. Sorry, so I just got a message from Jess. She's trying to get back on. So Jenny, yeah, obviously I can answer that because the thing we were talking about before, the 80-20 rule, that's a good rule to apply, and basically because you're still getting all your nutrition, you're still sticking to your calories, and it's giving you 20% of things that you enjoy, and it's quite you can do that on a daily basis, or you can do it on a weekly basis, and so you can eat clean for the 6 days and have a cheat meal or treat meal on the Sunday or Saturday, whichever day you choose. And it's a good thing to do because sticking to a plan religiously 100% can be quite boring and demotivating, but also it's actually good to socially interact with family, friends, go out even to a restaurant and pick things like that. It allows you to be more flexible and not completely rigid, and having to take chicken and broccoli in a Tupperware box to the restaurant because that's what you need to do. So Jenny, I think yeah, definitely, if you're fancying the things that you fancy, then definitely eat them, put them in, but stick to the 80-20 rule. Make sure you get your 80% of your goodness in, your vitamins, your minerals, your vegetables and fruits, etc. Make sure you hit your protein targets essentially, and then once you've done that, then 20% on whatever you fancy. Okay, so thanks, Joanna. Thank you. Thanks for joining. But it doesn't look like she is still trying to get on. I think I'm going to have to wrap it up because I don't want you guys just waiting around. So thanks for joining. Thanks for listening today. If you've got any questions or comments, just add them in, and me and Jazz will try and answer them later. I'll also post Jazz's links that she's mentioned, the podcast, the website, that kind of thing, into the comments later. So again, thank you guys for joining. I'm going to end it there. Until the next one. Okay, take it easy. Bye-bye.